We're going to move on to our next story. Today, Thurston and I reported that WWE is planning a premium live event, a main roster premium live event for Saturday, September the 20th for Indianapolis, Indiana. And, you know, when you're planning these events, there's only so many Saturdays in a month. And it just turns out that this one will fall on the same night as AEW All Out, which is taking place in Toronto. So this is our first time. We have not confirmed the start time of this WWE show yet, but given that it is in Indianapolis, this is not an overseas event. Chances are we're looking at it like direct head to head and a main roster show, no less, which is going to be, just the reaction I saw today was a lot of anger among some fans that I think ideally would want to be watching both of these shows. This is a lot different than an NXT show that is just kind of, it's a distraction, I feel, that's thrown in the way of an AEW show. This is a move that you have to look at as they are like, this is to hurt All Out by putting like a major event that I am sure the company will be putting loading up as well. G1 Climax season continues on the Post Wrestling Cafe as we march toward the final on August 17th. Every single match in the tournament will be covered. Plus, we're going back to 2001 for a review of the King of the Ring, featuring Kurt Angle taking on Shane McMahon and Edge winning the tournament. Plus, John and Wei are going to be reviewing all episodes of the WWE Unreal series on Netflix. Ask Away, Post Pro Res, Collision Course, so much more can be found monthly at postwrestlingcafe.com.
The timing of the event, I think, will be really interesting. I think it would speak. We know this is WWE strategy. That really is no surprise. Great job to you and Brendan for confirming it, though. But I'm curious to see if they will position it directly ahead against All Out. And if they don't, it makes me wonder if the goal is to simply dominate the conversation rather than to actually take people away from subscribing to one or purchasing one rather than another. I'm sure they want, as much as they can.
This is a major WWE show, and it's a Peacock subscription versus a $50 pay-per-view purchase. And I do not know what is planned in terms of like John Cena and Brock Lesnar, but the fact that is not happening in Paris, to me, there's 2 dates. There's the Australia show in October, and there's this one. And if you have Cena and Brock Lesnar on this show, we don't know what the All Out card is, but that is going to be the big match of the night.
Yeah. At this point, like with 2 PLEs between Clash in Paris and Survivor Series, I'm more likely to think that match will take place on one of those two rather than being saved for Survivor Series. I think a move like this continues to give, I would say, at least amongst certain audiences, some bad press to WWE for, continuing what might be considered like cheap bullying tactics. At the same time, the fact that they continue to do it tells me that they don't really care about what this particular audience on the internet is saying about them. I think their overall effect that they're looking for is that they are taking a good chunk out of the competition and that they are going to, at least coming out of the weekend, dominate at least a good chunk of the conversation coming out of it.
Yeah, no, even looking at whatever All Out, whatever they have in their plans for All Out, I think this inevitably is going to hurt All Out. What level it hurts it, we don't know, but there's obviously some big matches that WWE could put up here. You want to, if you're WWE, I think you want to put together like a pretty quality show, but you also get to sell to people like we're going to give you a big show and it's at a fraction of the cost of the competitor. Like and a lot of people will go that route.
It'll hurt All Out, no doubt. Just the fact that there's, wrestling on at the same time will hurt it. But I do think it presents a continued opportunity for AEW to continue to portray themselves as the viable alternative, the underdog that is representing, something that this multi-billion-dollar company is trying to perhaps monopolize. In terms of branding, I do think AEW should continue to just head full into however they choose to represent themselves as the underdogs in this situation, even though they are also owned by a billionaire.
Just tying the last two stories together, do you look any differently at AEW's business model regarding pay-per-view now that the UFC is out of the pay-per-view industry. That's a really big deal. And like, I understand one is like MMA, one is professional wrestling, and I don't think there's a huge crossover there, but you are like, here is the UFC that has become like, it is the dominant leader in pay-per-view up until they get out of it at the end of the year. Does it become tougher to sell to an audience like these $50 plus events on a monthly basis?
Well, think about all the weekends that UFC might be going head to head against an AEW.
It's going to be 40. It's going to be 43 events per year. Like it's 43 Saturdays, and that's on top of like your WWE Saturdays as well. Like, and I think we should look at September 20th. Like, this is not, to me, just like a test. Like, I would imagine like this is going to be something that we are going to see plenty more of from WWE, and it does force you, if you're AEW, to kind of look at like, we are the company that is going to be asking for a lot more money on top of your time. Like, I don't think there are some fans that will watch all of this on a Saturday and go back to back, but there's plenty that will watch a WWE show and that's it. I'm not spending A, more time, and B, spending money for more wrestling on top of it.
Well, I think it would put the pressure on AEW to continue to be excellent and more excellent in at least perceived value, than compared to like a 5-match WWE PLE card. Like, that means Coney is going to continue to book these 9-match events or however many matches you want to so that he can give the perception and feeling that he's providing like $60 or however many dollars worth of value to the paying customer. And it's going to require these events to constantly deliver like a match that people will be talking about, match of the year caliber matches on almost every single show. So in that sense, I think it's a good pressure, if you're an AEW fan. But in another, I'm sure it's really hard for people to part with their money. At the same time, if the cards are attractive enough, if the build is attractive enough, we know from boxing, people are willing to pay whatever you're asking if they want to see the show. So it's putting a lot more pressure on AEW, I think.